Isaiah 6, Isaiah's vision of the Lord. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings, and with 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to one another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, Woe is me, for I am lost, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a burning coal that he had taken with tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth and said, Behold, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, Here I am, send me. And he said, Go. I get too caught up in the last 2 verses of this passage. I get too caught up in the mission and the here I am and the go. God sends us to his people to witness his glory, and there's work to be done, but the kind of thing that usually gets omitted in morning devotions, scripture reading, is that what Isaiah is sent to do in this passage, on behalf of God and the glory of his throne, is to address, not even to address, but God's people continue to turn away from his glory. This is what Isaiah is talking about in the midst of a people of unclean lips. They're glorying and leaning into their own ignorance and hatred and stupidity and chaos. Isaiah sees this, and his heart breaks, and in verse 11, he asks God the question that we may have been asking, How long, O Lord? How long will it be like this before you save us from ourselves? The seraphim sing jubilantly and majestically that the earth is full of God's glory. I don't see how that is. I don't see that. Before 75,000 Americans and 265,000 people worldwide died from coronavirus, we were plenty unclean as a people. Our systems are built on slavery, trauma, abuse, and greed. Places like Tierra exist because there are people so firmly established on the margins. We suffer from isolation, addiction, and generational poverty. And 2,000 years before Tierra existed, in the time of Isaiah, and even before that, God commanded us as a people to seek each other out and raise us up and to be healed. More than 2,000 years after the time of Isaiah, a black man named Ahmaud Arbery went for one of his usual jogs around his neighborhood. He was shot dead by 2 white men who had a lot of guns. They assumed he was a burglar. He was shot dead in the street, and 10 weeks after his murder, nobody is charged with anything. His name is Ahmaud Arbery. The people in charge of governing us lied for months about ignoring warnings about coronavirus. They slept and laughed and golfed and reveled in their own wealth. 75,000 of the people that they're in charge of governing died, and they just recently admitted that they did not do anything about the red flags and warnings about coronavirus. People have to cross entire deserts on foot to grow our food, and they do so. They continue to do so at backbreaking hours for very, very little money, while the rest of us are told to stay at home and stay safe and not be in contact with each other. I don't see the glory of God filling this earth. I don't understand it. I don't understand that sin can be atoned for with burning coal from an altar. I don't get how that works. If someone tries to tell you how that works, I advise you don't listen to them. I don't think we're supposed to know how that works. I don't get how that is, that Jesus could or even would save us, or even that he wanted to, how he could do that. I don't get the mechanics of the cross. How he defeated death, that doesn't make any sense to me. But I believe in the glory that we read about in Isaiah. I don't see it, but I believe it. I don't know how my guilt can be taken away so cleanly with the coal from the altar, or how such a broken people can be redeemed. But I do believe in it.